Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Second round of 2024 French snap election begins. Polls to elect MPs in 501 constituencies. National rally is set to be the biggest party in parliament. Indian Parliament's budget session to begin from 22nd of this month. Union budget to be presented the next day. India's President Draupadi Murmu is in the Indian eastern state of Odisha to witness the world-famous Rathyatra in Puri. And in Euro 2024, England scored all of their spot kicks to beat Switzerland 5-3 in penalties to make their way into the semi-finals. Netherlands win 2-1 against Turkey in the other quarter-final. Voting begins for France's second round of legislative elections, with the far right hoping for a historic victory, but political stalemate is more likely. Parties across the political spectrum urged French voters to vote massively to tilt the outcome either way, as opinion polls forecast the far right would be the largest party, but fall short of an absolute majority. Marine Le Pen's Eurosceptic anti-immigration national rally topped the parliamentary election's first round with a third of the vote, opening the prospect of the far right leading a French government for the first time since World War II. But after a subsequent series of tactical withdrawals of candidates from mainstream parties aimed at boosting whoever is best placed to beat the far right, several surveys have projected a drop in the number of seats the party could win, making an absolute majority even harder to achieve. Sunday's legislative elections in mainland France will be decisive, with parties fighting to steal votes from a strong far-right force. Voters in France's overseas territories and living abroad cast their ballots on Saturday in parliamentary runoff elections that in fact could hand an unprecedented victory to the nationalist far right. All right, to get us more on that, our correspondent, DD India's correspondent Ross Cullen is joining us. Ross, now when we saw the first round of polling, not a very clear picture was emerging, though we know that Marine Le Pen's party was the front runner. But this being the second round, do we expect a decisive and a clear picture to emerge this time around?
Well, I don't know if there's a decisive picture that will emerge. We do know that polling is open. Polling station here behind me. It's been underway for about half an hour now here in mainland France. As you mentioned, on Saturday, the overseas territories cast their votes, and for the timing reasons, those overseas territories in the Caribbean, which are several hours behind here in mainland France, do always cast their ballots on the Saturday. And New Caledonia and French Polynesia voting as well in terms of the overseas territories and islands. But we should get a picture around 8 p.m. this evening, local time here in Paris, of the likely landscape for the next 5 years.
All right, Ross, what are you picking up from the ground? What evaluation or estimates are you getting? Because there is doubt over Emmanuel Macron's party, Renaissance Party, giving a good run, good competition to Marine Le Pen's national rally. What fate does Renaissance Party hold for Macron?
Well, they did come third in terms of the first round voting, and we will see how that plays out after the second round today in terms of will there be a coalition, will there be a majority government, minority government. There has been a lot of manoeuvring during the week to try to ensure that there can be an anti-far right vote for those who want to vote against the national rally, with some candidates from some parties withdrawing deliberately to allow another rival candidate, but who happens also to be far right to stand in that against the far right to stand in that constituency. So we will get a turnout around 12 p.m. local time, and then another updated turnout figure around 5 p.m. Local time before the result at 8 p.m.
All right, Marine Le Pen's party is set to be the front runner, is set to emerge as the biggest party. Let me get more from you as to what are you picking up from the ground, as to what factors have led to this change of heart, change of stance in the French voters?
Well, they've been growing in size. They had 8 MPs in 2017. The National Rally increased their size to 89 MPs in the 2022 general election, and they're set to then be the biggest party in this most recent public national ballot. Immigration has been one of the key factors that's played into this political debate. The very short 3-week campaign has had a lot of discussion about immigration, cost of living. Perhaps there's a certain feeling of being left behind by globalization in certain communities. The farming protests, you might remember, in January and February that hit France,
yes,
Belgium and a couple of other European countries as well. The support for the agriculture sector has also played into this. We know that Jordan Bardella has been able to present a picture of popularity among some of the agricultural workers, and so there are different factors that have played into this election in the lead up to it and also during the campaign.
All right, Ross, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those inputs. We'll try getting back to you again during the day to get more on how voting is progressing in France, the second round of voting. So that was our correspondent Ross Cullen joining us and telling us more about the political landscape, the political picture that could emerge out of France, this being the second round of polling. We'll keep you updated. Let's turn focus to Israel-Gaza conflict now. Hopes for a ceasefire in Gaza have risen further after reports that Hamas has given its initial approval of a new US-backed proposal for a phased deal. Now, according to reports, Hamas has dropped a key condition that no longer requires Israel to pledge a definitive end to the conflict as a prerequisite for a temporary halt in hostilities. Now, according to the Israeli Prime Minister's office, an Israeli delegation will be dispatched to the Qatari capital Doha next week to continue negotiations on a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Since the latest round of conflict, Israeli government and Hamas have held multiple rounds of indirect talks on a ceasefire, but so far negotiations have failed to produce concrete results due to the lingering disagreements over each other's conditions. Voters elected the largest ever number of ethnic minority MPs to the House of Commons on Thursday, a reflection of more minorities becoming involved in politics as well as political parties seeking to reflect the people they represent. We get you more from Ollie Barrett.
The UK's Parliament is due to reconvene on Tuesday, July the 9th, and when it does, it will be with an ethnically and gender diverse makeup of MPs. Black, Asian and ethnic minority lawmakers will, according to an initial study, make up 13% of MPs in the House of Commons. That's up from 10% after 2019's election, and it takes it to its highest level ever. It is still below the overall population, though, which is at around 18% Black, Asian and minority in terms of the percentage makeup of the overall population in England and Wales, according to the latest data. There will be 242 women MPs. That's up from 220 after the general election of 2019. The diversity in Parliament is not reflected in the cabinet of Keir Starmer overall. That said, he has chosen Britain's first ever female Chancellor of the Exchequer in Rachel Reeves. Overall in Parliament, there are around 25 MPs who've been elected at the general election this time around who have a family background connection links to India of some sort. Ollie Barrett in London, reporting for DD India.
Britain wants a balanced position on the conflict in the Middle East, according to its new Foreign Minister, David Lammy. Lammy further said that Britain will use diplomatic efforts to ensure a ceasefire is reached and hostages held by Hamas are released. Lammy is on a visit to Germany, his first international trip following the Labour Party's thumping victory in Britain election on Friday, which ended 14 years of Conservative government and propelled Keir Starmer to power as the Prime Minister.
I want to get back to a balanced position on Israel-Gaza. We've been very clear that we want to see a ceasefire, and we have been calling for that since the end of last year. We want to see those hostages out. The fighting has to stop. The aid has got to get in, and I will use all diplomatic efforts to ensure that we get to that ceasefire.
Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, three military-led Western African nations, signed a confederation treaty on Saturday, underscoring their determination to chart a joint course outside the regional political and economic bloc that has been urging them to return to democratic rule. Now, the signing took place at the first summit of the Alliance of Sahel States, that is AES, and signals an ever closer alignment between the neighbors in the insurgency-torn Central Sahel. Formalizing the treaty to establish a confederation confirms the rejection by Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso of the 15-member Economic Community of the West African States, that is ECOWAS. Its signing comes a day before a summit being held by ECOWAS, which had hoped to persuade the three to reconsider their decision in January to quit the bloc. In a communique issued after the summit, the countries said they had agreed to coordinate diplomatic actions, create an AES investment bank and stabilization fund, and pool their resources to set up projects in strategic sectors, including mining, energy and agriculture. The heads of the state welcomed their irrevocable withdrawal without delay from ECOWAS, it said. Iran's President-elect Masoud Pezeshkian on Saturday attended the first gathering as the president. Pezeshkian, the sole moderate in the original field of four candidates, won Friday's runoff presidential vote against former nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili. He will replace hardline President Ibrahim Raisi, who was killed in a helicopter crash in May.
I consider your vote as a heavy responsibility on my shoulder, and I pledge to continue to be a listening ear for your words and a voice for the voiceless and rejected.
All right, let's get to weather updates now. Heavy rain has hit parts of the U.S. state of Texas as tropical storm Beryl is set to make landfall by Monday. Roads in the state capital Houston were waterlogged on Saturday morning following heavy rainfall. Parts of Houston have been forecast to receive 5 to 10 inches of rainfall on Monday and Tuesday. Residents of Corpus Christi in Texas stocked up on gas, food and water and put storm shutters on buildings as tropical storm Beryl rolled across the Gulf of Mexico. Beryl appeared likely to reach Texas by late Sunday after its strong winds and heavy rain largely spared Mexico's top beach destinations. The core of the storm, downgraded from a hurricane, crossed the Yucatan Peninsula with its maximum wind speed slowing to around 105 kilometers per hour after striking near the coastal beach resort of Tulum in the morning. Beryl is forecast to become a hurricane again on Sunday or Sunday night before making landfall on the Texas coast. Heavy monsoon rain has battered Nepal, killing at least 47 people as per officials on Friday. Incessant rainfall has also triggered flash floods, landslides and lightning strikes in Nepal. According to Nepal's government, the total death toll has reached 47. Severe flooding in capital city of Kathmandu inundated streets, rendering homes and vehicles underwater, forcing residents to wade through brown flood water to go about their daily tasks. Indian Meteorological Department has warned of heavy rainfall activity over Kerala during the next 4 days. Also, a cyclonic circulation over East Central Bay of Bengal now lies over West Central Bay of Bengal off the Andhra Pradesh coast. Under its influence, widespread rainfall activity with isolated heavy rainfall is very likely to occur till Friday. IMD has issued red alert for heavy rains in Uttarakhand on Sunday and orange alert for Maharashtra, Karnataka, Odisha and Uttar Pradesh. The weather agency also warned of isolated heavy rainfall over Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, East Rajasthan, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya. Meanwhile, weather in the national capital region remains pleasant. The flood situation in Assam worsens as 6 more deaths have been reported in the state, bringing the death toll to 58. The condition remains worrisome as more than 2 million people in 29 affected districts are reeling under the deluge. 218 persons were evacuated on Saturday. IMD issued warning of isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall in Assam and Meghalaya on 9th and 10th of July. IMD has also forecast isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall in Arunachal Pradesh from 8th to 11th of July. The Brahmaputra and 10 other rivers are flowing above the danger level. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to leave for Russia on Monday to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Will also visit Austria. Amarnath Yatra resumes after temporary suspension on Saturday due to heavy rainfall. It's a treat for book lovers in Chennai. Neyveli Book Fair 2024 showcasing a diverse selection of books and periodicals begins. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India Live. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to leave for Russia on Monday to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin for the 22nd India-Russia Annual Summit. It will be Prime Minister Modi's first trip to Russia since Moscow launched its military offensive in Ukraine. The visit also follows Prime Minister Modi's re-election for the third successive term. Prime Minister Modi last visited Russia in 2019 for an economic forum in the far eastern port of Vladivostok. He last travelled to Moscow in 2015. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Russia is expected to address the pressing issues. India's ambassador to Russia, Vinay Kumar, spoke exclusively to DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja on all of the agenda that is to be discussed during Prime Minister's visit.
What can we expect from the visit? It's been 5 years. There's a lot on the agenda. Share to our audiences as to what could be dominating the discussions and what all can we expect.
India and Russia have had the practice tradition of annual summit since the year 2000. This was disrupted. Last annual summit was in 2021 when President Putin visited India. So this visit of Prime Minister to Russia is in the first place resumption of the annual summit between the leaders. Second, there is a very multifaceted relationship between India and Russia. So we expect discussions between the leaders to cover all those aspects, both bilateral issues and dimensions of its relationship, but also the regional and global issues of mutual interest will be discussed between the leaders.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday termed his upcoming visit to Austria in the coming week an honour on the occasion of the 75 years of diplomatic relations between India and Austria. Prime Minister Modi will visit the country on July 9th and 10th. Thanking Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer, Prime Minister Modi took to social media platform X and said, and I quote him, "It is indeed an honour to visit Austria to mark this historic occasion. I look forward to our discussions on strengthening the bonds between our nations and exploring new avenues of cooperation. The shared values of democracy, freedom and rule of law form the bedrock upon which we will build an ever closer partnership." Indian Parliament's budget session is set to begin from July 22nd and will run till August 12. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju on Saturday announced that India's budget for the financial year 2024-25 will be tabled in the Lok Sabha on July 23rd. India's eastern state of Odisha's pilgrim city Puri is hosting Lord Jagannath's majestic Rathyatra festival on Sunday. All preparations have been made for the grand cultural festival of the deity. The servitors of Sri Mandir, the abode of Lord Jagannath, his elder brother Lord Balbhadra and Devi Subhadra on Saturday performed the Agyan Mala, a ritual to garland as symbol of permission for the three chariots ahead of the Rath Yatra. The popular Rath Yatra is the time when the deities come out of the temple and embark on a 9-day journey to their aunt's place. India's President Draupadi Murmu will witness the annual Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra in Odisha's Puri on Sunday. The Amarnath Yatra resumed on Sunday after being temporarily suspended from both Pahalgam and Baltal routes to the Holy Cave Shrine on Saturday due to heavy rainfall. Weather is cloudy, but track is through today. The Holy Shrine is located at an altitude of 12,756 feet above sea level. Over 1 lakh pilgrims have offered prayers at the Holy Shrine since the Yatra officially commenced on June 29th from the twin base camps in the valley. The 52-day-long annual Yatra will conclude on August 19. Police officials neutralized 4 unidentified terrorists in an ongoing gunfight in India's South Kashmir's Kulgam district on Saturday. 2 Indian soldiers are also martyred in the twin anti-terror operation as it is underway in Madargam and Fizal Chinigam areas of Kulgam since Saturday afternoon. Police says culmination of the operation will take some more time. It is believed that the terrorists belong to Hizbul Mujahideen terror outfit. Meanwhile, in an early morning attack, few rounds of bullets were fired near an army camp in Manjakot area of Jammu Kashmir's Rajouri on Sunday. Search operation has been launched. The terrorists engaged in firefight with the troops manning the post, which lasted for about 30 minutes. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. A 5-storied building collapsed in Gujarat's Surat following days of relentless rain that left 7 people dead and several feared trapped under the debris. Rescue operation is underway in Sachin area of Surat, where a 4-floor building collapsed on Saturday. As per the officials, the building, which was built just 8 years ago, was in a dilapidated condition and most flats were vacant. An old house in Jharkhand's Deoghar collapsed on Sunday. Authorities say 10 to 12 people are feared trapped under the debris. The NDRF team, along with district administration officials, are engaged in the rescue operation. Rescue operations are underway. Chennai is eagerly participating in the Neyveli Book Fair 2024, offering readers the opportunity to explore a diverse selection of books and periodicals until July 14th. The event held in Neyveli has attracted a multitude of publishers, authors and book enthusiasts from across the region. Attendees can browse through a vast array of genres, including fiction, non-fiction, academic texts, children's literature and rare collections. On to sports. In Euro 2024, England scored all of their spot kicks to beat Switzerland 5-3 in penalties to make their way into the semi-finals. Earlier, in a pulsating draw at Dusseldorf, Breel Embolo gave the Swiss the advantage in the 75th minute by scoring off a low cross. However, the advantage was nullified by Bukayo Saka 5 minutes later as he scored a stunner from outside the box. For Switzerland, the spot kicks brought a cruel end to the dream of making into their first ever European Championships semi-final. In the other quarter-final match last night, Netherlands came from behind to down Turkey 2-1 and set up a Euro 2024 semi-final clash with England. A Stefan de Vrij header and Matt Mulder own goal inside the last 20 minutes wiped out Samet Akaden's first half-opener in the quarter-final and allowed the Dutch to book their place in Wednesday's last 4 tie in Dortmund. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. You can download the respective codes on the screen now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft,